The Gate of Infinite Joy, a tale of inner oneness. There once lived a young man named Neel, who carried inside him a quiet ache he could not name. To the world, he seemed complete. He had work that paid well, friends who laughed with him, and a life that moved in predictable rhythms. Yet every night, when the world retreated into sleep, Neel felt a hollow emptiness, like a room in his heart that remained forever unlit. He often wondered, is this all life has to offer? Is joy this fleeting? He searched for answers in books, people, and endless distractions, but nothing seemed to fill the void. One evening, while walking along the riverbanks of his town, Neel noticed an old man sitting beneath a peepal tree. The man's eyes were closed, and his body was still, but he looked strangely alive. Like each breath he took was connected to something vast and unseen. There was a softness on his face, the kind that only comes from long-kept peace. Neel sat nearby, watching. Minutes passed. The old man remained unmoving. The river flowed, birds sang, people walked, but the man sat as though he lived in a world untouched by time. Unable to contain his curiosity, Neel asked, "What are you doing?" The old man slowly opened his eyes. They were clear like still water. "I am entering the gate," he said with a gentle smile. Neel frowned. "What gate?" "The gate to the joy that is already within you." Neel hesitated before asking, "How do you enter such a gate?" The old man replied, "Through meditation. Meditation is the key, the path, and the journey. It opens the door to the oneness we all carry but seldom remember." Something stirred in Neel, like the soft movement of curtains by a breeze. "Can you teach me?" he asked. The old man nodded. "I can show you the door. Walking through it is your offering. The first steps." The next morning, before sunrise, Neel returned. The old man instructed him to sit with a straight back and a quiet mind. But as soon as Neel closed his eyes, his thoughts exploded like fireworks. He thought of unfinished work, old arguments, future uncertainties, trivial worries, and random memories from childhood. Everything came at once. "I can't do this," Neel muttered, opening his eyes. "My mind is too noisy." The old man chuckled. "A noisy mind is not a barrier. It is the beginning. Meditation does not silence the noise. It teaches you to listen without drowning." Neel was skeptical, yet he tried again the next day and the next. At first, his thoughts were like uninvited guests who kept flooding into a hall he was trying to clean. But gradually, he learned to let them pass instead of wrestling with them. Some days, he felt brief moments of stillness, small openings where he caught a glimpse of something vast and tender within. Other days, his mind refused to settle at all. Yet he kept returning. Little by little, the outer world began to lose its overwhelming power. The storms of his mind still came, but they no longer carried him away. A door begins to open. After weeks of practice, something shifted. One morning, while meditating under the peepal tree, Neel felt his breath becoming deeper, as if guided by a rhythm older than his body. Thoughts approached him, but they floated like leaves on water, touching him lightly before drifting away. He observed them not as his burdens, but as passing patterns. Then it happened. A space opened inside him, vast, silent, luminous. He could not describe it, yet he felt as if he had stepped into a sacred chamber he had unknowingly carried all his life. In that space, joy was not something to be achieved. It simply was. Not loud, not ecstatic, but eternal. Felt like returning home after years of wandering. When Neel opened his eyes, tears rolled down his cheeks. Not of sadness, but of recognition. The world around him looked unchanged, yet it seemed deeper, gentler, closer. The river shimmered with the same light he felt within. The old man, watching quietly, nodded. "You have touched the gate." Neel whispered, "What was that?" "The joy of your own being," the old man replied. "Not joy created by life, but joy that creates life. The path to oneness." As Neel continued meditating daily, the moments of stillness grew longer. His breath became his anchor, his awareness, a silent flame. He realized that meditation was not an escape from life. It was a meeting with life in its purest form. He learned to see the divine rhythm in simple things: the rising sun, the rustle of leaves, the warmth of tea, the sound of rain. Everything carried the same essence he felt in meditation. One evening, he asked the old man, "Why do I feel as if I'm merging with everything around me?" The old man smiled. "Because you are. Oneness is not something we attain. It is something we remember. Meditation removes the dust that hides this truth." Neel was quiet for a long time before asking, "So the journey is?" "An offering," the old man completed. "Each moment of awareness, each breath watched without judgment, each attempt to sit with yourself, these are offerings to the oneness within. Meditation opens the gate, but devotion to the journey keeps it open." Becoming the gatekeeper. Months passed, and Neel changed in ways he never imagined. He laughed more easily, spoke more gently, and listened more fully. His joy no longer came from external victories, but from the simple act of being present. The hollow inside him had transformed into a space of light. One day, Neel realized he no longer needed the old man's guidance the way he once had. The gate of infinite joy was now inside him, open, quiet, and ever welcoming. As he prepared to thank the old man for the final time, he found the space beneath the peepal tree empty. The old man had vanished without a word, leaving only an unspoken truth behind. The true teacher had always been the silence within. The journey continues. From then on, Neel meditated not to escape life, but to embrace it. He understood that meditation is the gentle returning to one's own center, the place where joy springs naturally, endlessly. He discovered that life's purpose was not to seek joy but to uncover it, like a lamp hidden under layers of dust. And every breath he took became an offering to that inner oneness, a remembrance, a homecoming, a gate that forever opened inward.